We're here right in the middle of Rennsport Reunion, right in the heart of everything going on. We're at the TAG Heuer Heritage Experience tent. This is where the cream of the crop, the history of Porsche resides. So we're going to take you through some of our favorite cars.
Be sure to log into your YouTube account, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video.
And we got to start at the origin of the species for race cars. The 356 SL, the 51, the one that won its class for the first time for Porsche. This is the first time they raced in Le Mans, and they finished first. They bring 3 cars to the race. Only one can make it to the race because the others crash. This is it. Here's our next favorite car. The big talk this year was the 911 ST. That's the hottest car that everyone wants but probably can't get. But where did the ST come from? Well, it came from the early 70s, late 60s. Porsche took the chassis body of a 911T that was lighter than an S, but they put the running gear and transmission of an S, and voila, they got the 911 ST. This is the Monte Carlo prototype that Gerard LaRouche drove. It was also the first time they tried the 915 transmission in a 911. So Derek Bell came to the PCA Porsche plots and told a story about this car. This is the 924 GTP that they built, that him and Al Holbert drove. They actually had 3 cars in different national liveries. This is the one he had, this is what he had the best memories from, and he even owns a street car version of this, the Carrera GTS, 924 Carrera GTS, which is iconic. So everyone's talking about Porsche and Porsche getting into Formula One, but they actually did in the 60s. Didn't do many races because of cost considerations, but they were successful. This is the Type 804. This is the one, the French Grand Prix that Dan Gurney entered and won. Porsche's only victory in Formula One. So Porsche is trying to replicate their success now with the 963 that they had with the 956 and 962. Not only successful on a racetrack, but these were customer racing cars. They made more money from selling them to customers, and that's where the success lied. So this is the 962, the iconic Coke liveried Bob Akin car that just dominated North America for many years. We have it here. So in the 50s, American racers discovered the Porsche Speedster was the secret ingredient to winning on the road course. And when Porsche came out with the 4-cam Furman engine, that's what everyone wanted. Marylander Bruce Jennings became known as King Carrera because they simply dominated in these Carrera Speedsters. They were iconic because of the number 77 he used and a 4-cam motor. But here's something you probably didn't know. Bruce sometimes had the 3 of the same Speedsters. They were just geared differently. If he went to a race and they didn't like the way the gearing was, he didn't change the gearing. He went home and got another Speedster and brought it back. One thing Rennsport has is a lot of Le Mans winners, not just drivers, but cars as well. And this is one. This won the 1979 Le Mans overall. It was owned by Don and Bill Whittington, also driven by Klaus Ludwig. It was known as the K3. This is one of the final versions of the 935 with its wide bodywork, the tail, the slope nose. It became iconic. And if you wonder why slant nose Porsches were so popular, it's because everyone wanted a street car that looked like the race car. You may think of IROC and you may think of Camaros, American cars, but it actually started with Porsche. Roger Penske came up with the idea of having almost like a celebrity race with factory RSRs. So he ordered these RSRs specially built for the IROC series, and they were all in different colors. He invited the top drivers of the day to drive these identically prepared cars. And now you see one of the most replicated cars is the IROC series. This one here was driven by Denny Holm. Each driver actually switched cars. The colors were like Skittles. It was an incredible sight to see. Only lasted for a couple of years.
We're going to be watching these videos, right?
Eventually, yes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All right. Well, most people think of the 914, they think of the 1.7 or 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. But no, Porsche built a 914 6GT, and it was very successful in international competition. This one here won its class at the 1970 Le Mans, actually on the factory poster. Believe it or not, they said it was the most comfortable cars to drive, and I believe 3 of the 914s finished in the class. So you may not know if you weren't around in the 80s, but Porsche actually raced IndyCar. And they were pretty successful considering they had to go from the ground up and building an IndyCar chassis, and engine. The engine in here was known as the Type 2708. And why was it called 2708? Well, it was a 2.7 liter 8-cylinder engine. It first ran in Quaker State white and green livery, and then it went to this Foster's in '89. Unfortunately, Al Hobart, who was the president of Porsche Motorsports and really was the torchbearer for the IndyCar program, died in a plane crash, and the program pretty much went down the drain after that. There's all the Ingram cars right there.
A Sally Porsche, because I remember it.
Well, as we teased, we were going to talk to Jay Ward, and one of the things when I did a little research on you was your Instagram.
Definitely one of the most iconic cars that Porsche ever built. Certainly one of the most replicated, the 550 Spider. There was different variations, but it was Porsche's first purpose-built aluminum race car. Here we have a 550A, which was one of the most refined versions of that 550. This is probably the most favorite car of anyone who comes to Rennsport, especially for the first time, because most people have never seen a 917 up close. This is the 917K with the iconic Golf livery. This one was actually built for Daytona and High Banks. How can you tell? Really easy. This extra windshield here was for when they were in the banking so the drivers could see ahead.